Recording is going. Yeah, happy October. Oh my gosh. It's fall, pumpkins, pumpkin spice lattes, uh,
Absolutely.
everything nice and a little bit of spice or however that saying goes. I just probably mangled that. Welcome everybody to the October Cloudy County presentation, meeting, community call, whatever you might like to call it. If you're new here, we do this every single month. We are two nerds that take you through news and updates about new things that are available in the Microsoft 365 um, sphere, I guess you'd call it. And then we also like to do a little bit of a deeper dive on a particular feature that might be cool. At least we think you might think it's cool. Our objective is always to never be annoying and to show you something that we think will make your life easier. I think the one that we have lined up today is a slam dunk. I don't see how this couldn't make anybody's life easier. So maybe that's a challenge to all of you. Let us know if you agree or disagree with that once we show you what it is. But enough kind of blabbering. My name's Dwayne. I'm a cloud solution architect at Microsoft for Microsoft Education. And that's Joe, my buddy.
And I'm Joe Gasper, Microsoft MVP and a systems administrator over here at the University of Florida. But welcome, everybody. We'll get started with usually what we do is some what's new, go through that, some changes, some updates, and then we'll dive into the main topic. I'll get us started off. And something in nice, big, bold letters. Can't get any bigger than that. But just making sure you're aware that October 14th has a couple important features for that day. One of them is if you're using some older versions of Office products. Those are ending support. There's commonly used perhaps in, we know in higher education, there might be some interesting lab equipment that might have a special computer set aside that needs some Office installed on it to massage data coming out of some expensive equipment in some way. These are some things you just want to be looking out for, just in case there's something like that laying around. Make sure that those products are updated and maintained. Also, that date kind of hidden behind there. If you're not aware, if you're still on Windows 10 operating system, that is also a cutoff date for that product. So something to be looking out for if you're finding yourself on Windows 10. You've got a short period here to officially remain supported. So get with your IT if you're finding those products still in use and see what you can do at your local institutions. We talked a little bit about this, I think last month, perhaps, or month before, but there's been some continued improvements on Teams and meetings on the iPad, which are certainly popular devices. Used extension a lot for working remotely. We got, last time we talked about, we got the ability to attach external devices to an iPad and use them, cameras, probably fancy microphones, things like that, actually, to an iPad. Now we're getting the ability to pop out your meetings. So you're going to be able to kind of multitask on those iPads when you got a meeting going on. Taking advantage of that should be hopefully improvements on the iPad for everybody. And continuing along. This is also an improvement that is come to Microsoft Teams, and that's going to allow in a normal our normal meetings and chat or our normal meetings, the ability to talk to people who are in the lobby. So a couple concepts there. You have a lobby turned on for a meeting. You get some external participants coming in, and maybe you got to start 5 minutes late or something like that. The ability to push out a message out into Teams, into the chat, so that everybody in the lobby can see that. has become available. It's rolling out, and we're going to kind of walk through and show that real quick. If we can show that off here, what that experience looks like. So I've got a meeting set up. I'm going to start that up. And let's see if we can get another participant in here.
Want to send me the invite?
Yeah, I got it. Got to put in, let's say, I send it to my personal account. So I've got a little extra hoops to jump through. Be able to join here. And let's go back to chat. So I've got someone in the lobby. We've got this chat. It's got a little bit of a different interface now. Got everyone. I've got lobby. And now I can come over here and say, push something out to the lobby. We're running 5 minutes late. That'll be nice to be able to take advantage of that. I got a little pop-up in the chat over here, able to kind of see what's going on before I actually get into the meeting. I think that's going to be pretty helpful.
And that's a one-way chat, just so everybody knows. It says it right there. Well, it did say it in the interface that people could see what you wrote, but they wouldn't be able to reply to what you wrote. So they're not actually going to be a part of the call. And having the chat on 2 different tabs makes it very intentional. Like if you need to send a message to folks who you haven't let into the meeting yet, that's an intentional action, not they can see the chat of your meeting before they actually get to be a participant of the meeting. So that's really nice. This is helpful for those like smaller meetings, not really like built for webinars. Webinars already have that kind of functionality built into them. But this would be really nice for like, hey, we got a candidate that we're going to interview here in a few minutes. They've already joined early because, they're trying to be very punctual. Maybe we just want to let them know like, hey, we're here. We'll let you in just a few minutes when all the committee members are ready. It's just something nice like that to let them know that they're not just sitting in a black hole waiting.
Last thing you want your candidate to think that there's a problem for them. So
yeah,
good way. And while we're in here, we're going to try one more feature that's come out. And if I share, I'm going to share into this meeting. Let's share a window. So I've just dropped Excel into this meeting. And kind of looking at this data, looks kind of scary, a little interesting. I'm going to let this person into this lobby real quick. And we got a little pop-up here that I've taken advantage of in the meeting settings. Looks like you're sharing sensitive content. So that is an option that's available. Clearly, it looks like I'm sharing some social security numbers. I'm sharing some salary data. This is some potentially fake data created by Copilot. So who knows? Maybe it scrapes something that was real in the LLM. Don't know. But that's just some fake, looks like sensitive data. And this is reminding me that I'm sharing this out to everybody. I might want to pick a different window, grab the wrong one, and maybe stop that sharing before that gets into the too long into the recording, things like that. So that's something that is pretty cool to be able to take care of. And that's that was in the meeting options. available. Don't remember if that is going to be. Do you remember, Joanne, if that's an actual premium or not? But this has got a premium license. But if that's something that you potentially work with, like dealing with that kind of data, that is something to be looking out for in the meeting options.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I have to check and see.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
remember.
well, before you hang up,
Yeah, yeah.
there's two things in there. I'm pretty sure we've talked about them, but just in case we haven't, or in case somebody missed it. Number one, there's a new button on the ribbon called Controls.
Oh, this is
You
great.
heard Joe say meeting options. Meeting options is Microsoft Teams lingo for all the security settings that you would set for your meeting to make sure that only the right people can share their screen. And also, you saw Joe admit somebody in from the lobby. In the world that we're in right now, where there's so many folks that are signing up for AI transcription services and those things are just joining calls, you might want to moderate who is allowed to admit people in from the lobby. So making sure that only the right people are presenters is a way that you can do that. So he's got some options there where it says allow all participants to blank. So if you click where it says share screen, like I want to allow all participants to share their screen, watch what happens to that person in the background as an attendee. They got promoted just now. So now that person is a presenter. This menu, this new controls menu means you can really quickly fix that. So if you're like, I don't want, excuse me, I don't want everybody to be able to do that, just click it again and it will uncheck it. And then that person will get demoted in the background. It would demote, if there are 100 people on the call, it would demote all of them. And then you would just selectively choose the right people that should be allowed to share their screen because we don't want interruptions. We don't want the flow of your presentation getting messed up because somebody decided to randomly share their screen or try to take control over your screen. So having that controls menu there is like super fast access to be able to make those settings changes on the fly. Teams has always supported making those changes on the fly, but it wasn't as intuitive and as easy to get to as a button that just flat out says, here's your controls. So nice thing there. Yeah, and this is the full-blown meeting options experience. You could get to this like before you actually start your meetings, like in the flow of scheduling the meeting, you could set all these things ahead of time. But if you forgot, because that happens, you can fix it live while the meeting is running now, all from a dedicated button.
Yeah, all those ones that you want to use that can quickly turn a meeting into basically a webinar, turn off their cameras, turn off their mics.
Yep.
More like a town hall. That's built right into that menu very quickly.
The other
If you
thing that
forget
was
to do
there,
those, that's not uncommon to forget to do those. They're right there.
yeah, super easy. The other thing was under the more meatball menu, and that was the timer. This I have noticed a lot of people are really happy about because if you click timer, it's going to pop up an interface. It's going to let you decide to dial in how long the timer should run for. So if you're doing an online session and you just want a really easy way for people to have like a 5-minute break or a 10-minute break, you can just punch that in right there in the Teams interface. And it has a little bar that will shrink and it will get red as it gets closer to the end of the time. And it will actually play a little sound, not like a nuclear alarm or anything, just like a chime kind of deal. So it's pretty easy on the ears. But just to let people know, like, hey, you have this long to do the activity, or you have this long to go get a drink and come back, and if we're going to resume class, that kind of stuff. And having that built right in has been a lot of people that I've shown that to have had positive feedback about that. They really like that.
Having that little break and that little beep definitely helped remember to like come back come back to your share.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we used to like share clocks and stuff on our
Oh, yeah.
screen, like it's a lot of hoops to run through just to get a countdown. And so having this just be a countdown built right in, and you can do that like even while you're sharing, let's say a PowerPoint deck, like you don't have to reshare or change windows. It's just there. So
There were always a bunch of tricks to try to share
yeah,
some type
I
of
mean, we've
app or
both
do
seen some
something. Yeah.
creative solutions.
Yeah.
But this is just a lot easier. So sorry, I didn't mean to
Yep.
interrupt
No,
your
it's
flow,
great.
but those two things, I thought were worth
Mhm.
mentioning.
Yeah. No, there's this bar keeps improving, so it's good to keep calling out what we can find in here. Some good stuff under the view too. Type of want gallery or speaker views,
Yeah.
prioritize video, things like that. Definitely be
You
curious.
notice there's a line between leave and share? Like,
Yes, that is definitely helpful right there. So,
has anybody tried to
and
share their
and the
screen and left the call by accident? Oh,
yeah, maybe if that share was just a little bit over, so you just mute
yeah.
yourself only or something like that, that would be
Yeah. There's definitely
be
some
yep.
room for improvement, but
Uh,
getting better.
yep. All right. Well, I will leave this one. Make sure I leave the right meeting. And let's continue on here. All right. Let's see here. Thought we'd share a little birthday. If you didn't know this, September was 40-year birthday of Microsoft Excel. I think we all dabble in this at some point through the year. Definitely has had an interesting history of coming through the market of VisiCalc and Lotus 123. But September was 40 years. Definitely standby for many people who live in this for their data analysis tools and things like that. There's it's been that long. Yes. Maybe you don't want to think about it being that long, but yes.
I mean, saying time flies when you're having fun is something, but
Yeah, not in
how many
Excel.
people are like, oh, I can't wait to dig into this Excel workbook and it's a lot of fun. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's been around a minute.
Um, we're gonna, yeah, happy birthday. Yep. We're gonna stick with Excel because it over the years has gotten smarter and wiser. We got some folks have pinged me on this. I know some of you are using this capability in Excel, which is Python. Python programming language has the ability to be used directly inside of Excel. So if you're working with a lot of data, um, Python is often the go-to tool for data analysis. Now you can, and have been for a while, able to use it right inside of Excel. And they've continuing to do some improvements. One of them is setting up your environment. So if you are someone who uses this often, take advantage of it. You can now kind of initialize the creation of how your Python works and get it started up the way you like it to. So this you'll find in Excel. In the, you go into the formulas menu, you're going to find under Python where you can work with Python. You've got initialization now. You'll get a little pane that opens up that you can modify, set up, bring in modules that you use all the time. Just make sure they're always available and configure that now. And let's see. Talk a little bit before about this. There's some improvements coming to this. This is a Copilot, some personalization you can do in Copilot around two things: memory and custom instructions. Let's look at what this looks like. So I'm going to open up Copilot. I'm going to use the Copilot app. And I'm going to open up settings in Copilot app, or three dots, and go to settings. And under personalization. So there's some improvements coming to this that's starting to roll out. We've got instructions and we've got memory. So instructions are a set of, so think of it as just, this is a prompt that gets injected into your prompts when you use Copilot. So you can put some things in here that are important to you. Perhaps you don't like emojis. You can put in your custom instructions. Just say, please limit the use of emojis. Maybe you don't like the M dash. Maybe you like, maybe you do like things like the Oxford comma or something like that. These are some instructions that you can use so that in the responses, you're going to have those output in a certain way that is helpful to you, and you don't have to put it in every single one of your prompts. So this is some that I've got in here. I write a lot of PowerShell scripting language, my sysadmin work. So I've got some kind of best practices for that in there I like to use. So just as some way you can take advantage of that. And memory. So memory is sometimes it's automatically remembered depending on the types of prompts you're putting in. But there's this memory, and if we look at what I have in the memory of this one, it's figured out that I love Star Trek, and I believe in and use the Oxford comma. So a couple items that I put into memory. Now these can be a little more fluid. These there is ways to force a memory, but along the way, as you're working with Copilot and putting in prompts, it can start to remember some things about you. Maybe you're working on you've got a work trip to go do some research out in another state, and you're starting to work on researching some hotels in the area or something like that. And you're putting in there on these dates and be gone. I'm looking to go to this area. What is there to do there? Copilot might pick up that you're going to take a trip. You're going to Seattle, and you're going to find that memory showing up in here. And Copilot will use that information in responses back to you. Or if you wanted to put something in here like, I'm allergic to shellfish, perhaps you're looking for, on this trip, we're looking for restaurants. Maybe it will eliminate seafood restaurants that you probably might not want to go to. So little things like that, this can use to help its responses be more tailored to you. If you want it to remember something about you, you can tell it to just remember it. Remember, I love cats. And you've got this little icon here showing up under your prompt, memory updated. Okay, so it's going to help remember, let you know that it's put something into memory. Now this is purposeful. Clearly, okay, I got it. I'm going to remember it. But along the way, as you're putting in prompts, you've got a long thread going. Occasionally, you might see that memory updated show up, and that's one way to indicate that it's going to try to help tailor its responses to you to be more helpful. And you can easily jump right back into those memories. And if you're working on something that maybe some information that you wouldn't want to be captured as a memory or not going to be important as a memory, there is the ability to come in and maybe turn that off temporarily. It will come back and show. Get this to wake back up. Maybe not. Well, if you look at your own memory, there is going to be a little radio toggle. So I think we probably saw that briefly as we were looking at this one. But it definitely doesn't want to show it quickly. One more time. There we go. So we've got Copilot memory down here that we can temporarily turn off, and it's not going to use your memory that it has or continue adding to it. And if you don't like what it's tracking about you, you can leave that off, and you can just hit delete all your memories, and they're all gone. So however you'd like to use that. And let's see, last thing before we jump into our main set of deep dive is something that has it's come out a little bit ago, but we haven't had a chance to cover it. But I think it's a very helpful set of new capabilities in dealing with SharePoint lists in Microsoft Lists. And we've previously had these things called rules, and now we've got quick steps. And again, they're going to feel like rules. If you've used those, we're going to take a look at those real quick, take advantage of how we might use them. I've got a travel request form here, and I've got some plans here. We're looking to do some work. I'm gonna clear out one thing here before I get started. Let's clear that one out. And this one. Finish that. All right. So let's say I've got this set of travel requests, and I'm looking for some extra information that I might need sometimes before I decide to approve these or where to send that information on to the next approver or something like that. I now, under the Automate tab, have quick steps. Create a quick step. And these are some things that make it very easy to do an update. One is draft an email. So I'm going to call this quick step, more info. We've got travel requests. I need some more information required. I'm going to include a link to the actual item that's in my list. And maybe I only want to show this quick step if this entire item has not been approved yet. So if it's not set to yes. And who do I want to send this to? This is my list of columns in the SharePoint list, and one of them is requester. That's a people column. So it basically has an understanding of an email address, and I can create this. So now I can come in here to this one and say, hey, I really need some more information before I can take this on to the next step. I now have this more info, and that's going to draft a quick little email to that person. There's an item link down here. Don't really like that it's a full link like that. It'd be nice if that was a hyperlink, but you could easily set that up as a hyperlink instead if you want to. But I could come in here and say, hey, can I get like a registration sheet or something like that in this case? You could also update values. So I've got an approver column here. Perhaps I need to, I'm someone whose job is to look at these travel requests, send them on to the next approver. That approver can change often. So what I can do here instead is come into Power Automate, do a quick step. And I can do set a value. So what I want to do is set the value in the approver. And let's say I want to set, in one case, to the option to Dewayne. And do that, create that. And while I'm in here, I'm going to create another one. And that is going to be the same, basically, process approver, but I can choose me. So me is whoever signed into this application at the time. Will basically be set as the approver column. So we'll do approver. All right, so we've got two new quick steps. So for this travel request in here, I might want to set that to, let's see, I can set that to Dewayne as the approver. So I can come in here, click that. Boom, that's now set. So I don't have to come in, double click, open, scroll down where it might be, find it, come in here, type a name in, things like that. I can automate that quickly. And for the me one, it's just going to set that to, again, whoever's currently logged in. So I can go into approver me. That's going to pop my account as I'm signed in and take advantage of that. So we previously probably talked about rules. You can create rules. There's similar quick ways to do some operations on lists. And these quick steps make it even quicker. I think that is it for our what's new, and ready for some deep diving.
All right. I know we're sensitive, of course, to Copilot fatigue. I think we've said that to all of you before. We don't want every single session we do to be about Copilot. Sorry, my computer having a little problem there. All the stuff that Joe showed you so far, though, didn't really have anything to do with Copilot. So 50% of the meeting, we didn't talk about Copilot. Um, but the main feature that we want to talk about is something in Copilot, and it is something that we've talked about a little bit before. But now that we are in the month of October, it is actively rolling out in the wild and happening. So
So
people are going to see it. One thing that's super important about this change is it is a change that is worth talking about more than one time because it affects every single user on the planet that has Microsoft 365. Students, faculty, staff, everybody. So if you think about your university, however many people are there are going to be impacted by this change. So, uh, yeah, we should spend, we should repeat it, I think, a couple of times. Um, I think it's good news. I would love to think that y'all don't think I'm biased, but I understand the current situation and who I work for and all that stuff. So I want to hear from you all what you think of this change. And the change is that Copilot is coming to the Office applications for all users for free. So this is the blog post that went live just, I think, like 2 weeks ago, roughly. So this blog post came out after our last cloud accounting call. So you haven't seen this yet. This is a big deal. So we've got some information here about screenshots of applications. We've got Outlook, PowerPoint, Excel, Word, and for some reason not pictured, OneNote, where Copilot will be present and you can use it in that application. This is a pretty big deal because this means that this is a kind of a feature that was reserved for folks who had a Copilot license. And we're going to talk about some new terminology that we'll be able to use there to make that a lot easier because I didn't name everything Copilot, and I understand that it was getting really challenging for a lot of us, especially those in like a technical support role, like trying to figure out like what Copilot is what and what are we talking about and what do people have because it's constantly changing. But it says right here included at no additional cost for Microsoft 365 users. And like I said, that basically means everybody who's at an enterprise organization that has Microsoft 365. This will affect all of you. There's nothing you have to do to make this happen. You will just, be on your computer one day and you're like, oh, I want to work on that Word document about why bacon is amazing and how much I love it. Oh, what's this new button? And a lot of times it'll just pop open by default. And that's all that people will have to do to be impacted by this change is use Office. So, um, yeah. So what does this mean? Like, what can I actually do? What can I do now that I have this? Well, let's talk about what the older experience would have been like, so that I could rationalize why this is happening and why I think it's a positive thing. We've shown you before. We've actually done activities together where we've done like a summary of a transcript from a meeting that was a Word document. I think we did that several months ago. But in the Copilot app, which you can do this either via the Windows application directly, or if you go to just like office.com, which is, yeah, like this is the web page for Copilot. And so if we look at them both, like they look pretty much exactly the same. I mean, what can I help you with versus hi, how can I help? I would argue that's pretty much the same. It's the same thing. So you can use either one of those to get started. But previously, what you would have had to have done is if you're like, I have this long scientific paper and I want to submit to speak on this paper at a conference that's coming up. So Bacon Fest is coming up, and I have this amazing paper that's written about why bacon smells good when you cook it in your kitchen. So what I would have to do is I would have to attach work content to my prompt. So I would have to either click the paperclip or use the / and then start typing in, bacon. When there it is in my most recent documents, because I frequently open this paper and read it because I guess I love bacon. So if you
Is that in
click
your
add,
Copilot memory, I hope?
it's got to be in there. So I could do that. I could also click the attach cloud files, which brings up like the OneDrive interface. So if you've used OneDrive on the web and you shared files and browsed around in Teams and SharePoint, like this particular interface should look relatively familiar. And then you select the file. Well, now that it's attached to my prompt, and I have told Copilot, we call this process grounding. I've grounded Copilot on this document so it knows what to look at. Now I can start prompting it. So I could say, I'm submitting to present on this paper about bacon. Please help me write a session description, brief. How long are session descriptions? I don't know, 200 words or less, 200 words or less in a professional tone. We'll just go with that. So I gave it a little bit of context. I gave it a source. I told it what I was doing. Boom. Here is, my paper, the science behind bacon's irresistible appeal, and this would be the description for my session. This would be a starting point for my description for my session, I should say. Remember what AI is built for. AI is built for you as the subject matter expert to be able to save time on a process. Having a paper already written took you time. Having to transform that paper into a smaller, like, pitch, if you will, for like a webinar description or an abstract or something like that takes time too. This just made that take a lot less time. Well, that's pretty cool, right? How many of you do this? Like, how many of you just live in the Copilot app and you're like, oh yeah, second instinct here. Like, I know how to go into Copilot and ground myself on a document. Joe and I have tried to teach a lot of people about it, and I don't know if it's second nature to a lot of people yet. So the reason why this change is so significant is because you could just open the Word file and then talk to the Word file. So basically what Copilot will do is whatever you type in here is going to use this content that's over here to source its answers. So now we don't have to have a behavior change. Joe and I learned big time. Like, we rolled out Teams. We went all over the state of Florida. We went to research centers. We went to extension offices, and we were trying to teach people why Teams was going to make their life better. We tried to make it fun with like dinosaurs and all kinds of weird stuff. But ultimately, what we had to do was to get people to change their behavior and work differently. And it was a multi-year, probably still ongoing process of transformation. Well, I like this change because now I don't need to ask you to do anything different. I just need you to open the Word document. Microsoft refers to this as the flow of work. So they're putting Copilot in the flow of work. So if you just double click the Word document, boom, there it is. And you could do the same thing. Like, in fact, everything that I just said is available somewhere in here of my conversations. Well, eventually it will be. It wasn't synchronized that fast. But I would be able to resume that conversation right here inside of that Word document. So let's start, let's click out of that. We'll start a new chat. So I could do the same thing that I just did without even having to specify where Copilot needs to go to find the Word document. It is already assumed that I want it to answer questions based off this Word document because that's what I'm looking at. So I could say, I'm going to present this paper at a conference. Please help me write a short session description. I'm just going to leave the typos because I'm lazy. 200 words or less in a professional tone. Boom. It won't care about the typo. It knows what I meant. Okay, there we go. I didn't have to specify the paper. I didn't have to specify anything, and I could just go down here to the bottom. And one thing that's pretty nifty now is I can read this and I can look at this. And before, with users who had a Copilot license, they oftentimes misunderstood what the chat on the right hand side was for. The chat on the right hand side was to understand the thing that you're looking at, not to really change the thing that you're looking at. So Microsoft made some changes here, which I think are pretty cool. There's a little plus sign now, and so you can click that plus sign, and it will just blow up live in front of everybody. That's cool. Now Word's going to crash. Awesome. Yeah, well, that's how live demos go sometimes. I love it. This was happening to Beverly the other day, unfortunately. So we'll go with copy instead. And then we'll go with paste. And it gave it to me in a bulleted list. I should have gone down a line. But the insert button, I don't know why for Beverly, for my IT friends out there, I have noticed that this particular build of Office that was happening. I did bump Beverly into preview, so she went to 2510 and that problem went away. And then I backed her down yesterday to see if it was still a thing, and turns out it's still a thing. Word will crash when you click that button. But the point is, I was able to just copy and paste and push this description directly into the document. Now I can clean this up a little bit. I could scroll up to the top. I could go down. We'll add, the session description there. Doesn't need to be a bulleted list though. And there you go. There's my session description at the top. And I, as the human, of course, will play around and edit and clean and make sure that it's good and accurate and truthful and all those kinds of things. If you like what it's like, well, boom, there you go. There's your description you could submit to the Bacon Fest conference. I have a story about Bacon Fest that I will tell everybody after the recording turns off, because it turned out it was a real thing. Not what I thought it was, though. This shows up in Outlook. So you're going to see a Copilot button. Wow, today is a great day. What is going on? So there should be a Copilot button up here. I know that some of you have actually told me that you see Copilot. You've confirmed that you're already seeing it in Outlook. It actually rolled out to Outlook before it rolled out to the rest of Office. So you should be able to summarize emails. You can open up PowerPoint, and you can do interesting things like generate images. So this is an image I generated yesterday. I'll be able to see that in my conversation history. So somewhere in here, I said generate like a cat. There we go. So I can resume that conversation with Copilot, and I was able to generate graphics in PowerPoint and insert them into the PowerPoint. So Joe and I also know, after lots of conversations with agents, that a lot of you have been trained correctly on not to use images that you find online. We have had some unfortunate situations where images were used that had a copyright on them, and nobody knew it because they were kind of seeded out there on the internet for that purpose, to catch people. They were like a trap, basically. So a lot of times the communications teams and media teams, they give you stock images, and you all take images with your phones and stuff like that. But do any of you have a picture of a Maine Coon cat that looks like James Bond drinking a martini garnished with a slice of bacon? If that's what you need in your PowerPoint presentation, you could just ask Copilot to make it directly in the PowerPoint presentation and then insert it right into the deck. And then you can even ask it, provide me alt text, provide me with alt text for the image above.
It pretty
So
much
we'll
did
see.
that. It pretty much did that in the response to you
It did.
before the
Yeah.
image. It's pretty nice too. But yeah, this
It
one
did.
is this one's very detailed.
Yeah. So let's take a look at the alt text. So if I go view alt text, a cat in a tuxedo holding a martini glass. Is that wrong? No. Does it tell the story that I wanted to tell? No, it does not. Like, I want people to know that this is like a very suave cat, like, Sean Connery, James Bond cat. And they need to see that. And so I could just grab this text And I could go back over to alt text. This might be a little bit too long, but we'll see. It does give you some guidelines in here about how long this kind of stuff should be because you don't want the screen reader going off for 5 minutes about your cat. So I might actually tone that down a little bit. But you get the idea that you could, in the flow of work, generate new graphics for your presentation, push them into your presentation, and generate the necessary accessibility alt text for that presentation also. And to answer the question in the chat, the Copilot generated images are not copywritten. They are not owned by Microsoft. They are yours. So that is actually publicly proclaimed. They call it the customer copyright commitment. Anything that you generate with Copilot, so long as you weren't trying intentionally to circumvent some sort of copyright law, like I want Mickey Mouse and Luke Skywalker, fighting each other on Hoth or something like that. Like you were using a lot of copywritten terminology. As long as you're just making pictures that meet your needs for work, you're covered. You're good. In fact, the copyright commitment says that if you were to use this image in a publication and somebody came after you, Microsoft's lawyers defend you. Like that's pretty cool. So I feel like we can put the final nail in the coffin, so to speak, of like, am I allowed to use stock images in M365 and Copilot images? And the 100% answer is yes, yes, you can. I'll pull that up or we'll find it. Oh, there you go. Joe already put it in the chat. Let me pull it up just so it's on the recording as well for anybody who might be watching, uh, our 12 YouTube subscribers. Some of them might want to know about this. This is pretty old. This came out early in the days of generative AI because people saw that this was like a problem and they were worried about this. And so we did have some updates to it still quite a while ago. But yeah, we stand behind you. This stuff that you create is yours. These are your creations. And there it is in black and white text. So definitely keep that link handy. And if somebody challenges you on this or asks you about this, give them that link. Say like, yep, I'm covered. So I think this is amazing. You can also use it in Excel, but we need to talk about Excel real quick. So let me grab some stuff.
While you're doing that, the one feature I like of Copilot in PowerPoint is asking that question, look at my slides and come up with possible questions from the audience. So it's really nice to be able to just do that right in while you're looking at your slides. And maybe there's something inside of your slides that maybe would be helpful to improve what you're talking about, make it a little clearer or something like that, but anticipate what your audience might be asking you. And being able to do it again, like right in the flow of work, is really helpful.
Yeah. I've used it to generate like a frequently asked questions list for a document that I was working on, and then insert that FAQ into the document. My demo days is it Monday? What day is it, Joe? My computer thinks it's Monday. Gosh. There we go. Let's analyze together. So analyze this workbook and give me interesting data insights. I saw a comment earlier about charts and visualizations and stuff like that. Copilot can leverage Python to create visualizations directly in line in your prompt, and then you can just copy it out and put it in something. It read my spreadsheet. It's looking for interesting facts about it. This isn't really interesting data like the stuff that Joe was showing earlier. That spreadsheet would probably have a lot more interesting stuff in it. But you could start asking it to help you write formulas to clean this up. You can see a lot of this stuff is in different formats. So maybe I want to clean this up a little bit or standardize it, or like, how do I do something in Excel asking it that question and it giving you the formula. It's basically an Excel coach or an Excel tutor right inside of Excel. And, we've always had help, but how many of you have clicked on this and gone to Excel help and read it and got like a tutor to help you do something in Excel? Like, it will teach you how to use the product, but you have to go through and find everything, versus just, hey, Copilot, how can I write a formula that will do X, Y, and Z? Which is pretty cool. So if you've got data sets and you're trying to get interesting statistics and data insights out of it, you can do that. And then let me show that graphic thing. This is not related to Copilot being available in the applications, but I'm just going to say, using Python, generate a visualization. Oh my gosh. Visualization of a pie chart, divided into quarters, one for each term. We're going to go with goal, context, source, and expectation. Then I'm going to say, let me pick on somebody here. Penn State. Let's go look at Penn State. So Penn State branding. Do y'all have like branding out there somewhere with like, here's the colors that you're allowed to use?
Yes, we do.
Where is that at? Branding.
It's on the intranet, the intra.
Oh,
so there's your design. You're getting close.
Design essentials.
Yep, we have logo standards. There you go.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah, in fact, we got in trouble for using the football cat.
How do you spell palette?
Oh, jeez. I can spell chicken.
You can spell chicken. Okay. So I'm going to ask it to create a visualization. Yeah, if you had a fancy Excel document workbook, you could leverage what we call a code interpreter, which is a confusing name because a lot of people think that code interpreter means that it can help you write code. That's not what it's for. It means it can generate code on the fly and execute it to create cool stuff. Taking a little bit of extra time here. I'm not going to use this as an excuse, but there's actually an active incident right now, Joe. I don't know if you know that, going on. There's some weirdness going on with the Office portal and the cloud, so it could be causing this problem. But I've done this in the past. I probably have it in my history here somewhere, where you can use this to generate visualizations and then drop them into your document. So we'll let that churn for a little while. But this is pretty big news. And like I said, it's visually going to pop up in front of everybody's, eyeballs when they open up Word. Your friends are going to start seeing this. And they're going to be like, whoa, where did this come from? Let me pull it up. I have some stuff I can drop in the chat for you. So this is going to be for all of you. Click. There you go. So it's a one pager, which I thought was really funny because I don't know what size paper that is. It's like 4 feet tall. So not really a one pager, but pretty close to it, I guess. And I'll pull that up also. Let me copy it over to Beverly's computer here and we'll pull it up. So again, it's on the recording. And you'll see kind of what I'm talking about. Like, this is something that you could give to colleagues, or maybe IT could use this, or communications could use this to say, hey, here's what's happening. Here's what it's going to look like. Here's what you can do with it. We want you to be able to work on stuff and have a good time. So that's the one pager. So that's the one that I put in the chat. Did it ever finish? Yeah, so there's the Python code. It's trying. Eventually, we should get a pretty picture, but we didn't. We just got Python code. So, all right, I'm going to stop doing live demos today. That's the end of live demos for Dwayne on October the 8th.
Before we cut off this, there were some questions in the chat related to putting your data into Copilot, letting Copilot see these files. Could you go through the enterprise data protection? And just kind
Yes.
of let's just cover that, I think, for everyone now that
Yeah.
it's becoming easier and easier for working with your files. Clearly want to explain the protections Microsoft has and assurances if you
Yeah.
sign in properly, etc.
This is huge. So, like Joe said, you have to be signed in properly. That means you have to be signed in with your school account, or potentially the account issued to you by your county. It has to be an account that's associated with a business, basically, with Microsoft 365. When you do that, you will see that green shield there up at the top right-hand corner, and there's actually a hyperlink for enterprise data protection. So if you hover over that and then click that link, it takes you to this web page. I tell people scroll down, look at the 5 bullet points. There are some pretty serious things in here that everybody needs to know. Number 2, your data is private. Number 5, your data is not used to train the large language models. So the things that you're asking Copilot to do, the documents that you're providing it with, are not being used to make it better. Huge concern, especially in like research, but all enterprises are worried about this and should be worried about this. That's why Joe and I have said numerous times, don't sign up for the free AI transcription services that promise to send you a nice, tidy summary, because you are paying for that somehow. You are paying for it in some way. It might not be money, but it might just be usage and data. Copilot is protected. It is a part of Microsoft 365. So yeah, enterprise data protection is a huge deal. So I know we're at time, but real quick, everybody should click that green shield, click that hyperlink. They should not, if there's nothing online or no streaming shows or whatever, they should read this and take a look at it. So, but we'll end it there. We'll stay on the call for a little bit longer for any kinds of questions or anything like that. But that's a good call out, Joe. That does apply to all the new stuff that I just showed, with it being built in Office. Enterprise data protection is still a part of that. So we ran over for a few minutes. Sorry about that, but thanks everybody for hanging out. Appreciate it. We'll stop the recording. Joe and I will stay on the call if you have questions that you want us to answer, and not have them posted on YouTube. So thanks everybody.
Thank you.